What's up, everybody? I wish that I could say that today's a beautiful day, but sadly it really isn't, since it's raining extremely bad outside and my car is completely soaked right now. But we're gonna make my day a little bit better by installing some AST lowering springs on my G80 M3. So these came in just yesterday and I've been dying to install them because my M3 is literally a monster truck. Just check out the stock fitment on the front. That's pretty insane. For some reason the back is already pretty low, but let's make it a little lower, you know? All right, so let's open this box up. And there we are, the AST springs. Honestly, guys, this feels like a very high quality product, and I love the red color. Very nice, very nice. All right, so installing the AST springs, a little bit of a controversial topic because a lot of people do them in many different ways. Some people use spring compressors, some people don't. Some people take off the axle nuts, some people don't on the X-Drive. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. But in this video, I'm gonna show you guys the best way that you can do it. And there was one thing that I was super worried about when going to do this install, and that was replacing the torque to yield bolts. I wanted to replace them because BMW says to replace them, and if BMW says to replace them, it's probably for a reason. But my M3 is probably gonna get abused a lot, so I might as well listen to everything that BMW says, just to make sure that nothing bad happens. Honestly, I don't want to take any risks. So in this box from Beamer World is every single nut and bolt that you're going to need to replace when doing this installation. I'll leave the link in the description. If you guys cared about replacing these as much as I did, then you would know that the G80 world definitely owes me one after this. Well guys, I know you clicked on this video for a reason, and that's to learn how to install your springs on your G80. So let's get started with the rears. Let's get started with jacking up the car. Please buy these jack pucks, I beg you. If not, then replace the rubber ones with a aluminum option. Guys, also I want to be super cautious with the brakes, so I got this thingy right here that I can set the wheel on right after I take off all the nuts or the bolts, because I don't have extended lug nuts or I don't have the wheel hanger thingy. But if you guys do have those, then you don't really need to do this. So yes, either use this or a wheel hanger. Alright, so there's only one bolt they need to remove, which is this one right here. This is a 21mm along with a 21mm nut over here. For this bolt, you need to use a 21mm wrench because you don't really have space for anything else here. And for the actual bolt itself, it's better to use an impact, but sadly my impact is just way too large, and that's because of this exhaust thing that's in the way. So I'm going to use a breaker wire, but if you could fit an impact in there, it'll make this a lot easier for you. Alright, so now that I cracked the bolt loose, I'm going to grab a torque wrench that's actually ratcheting and take off the bolt. By the way, the bolt is extremely long, so be ready to be there for a while. And the funny thing is, I just DoorDashed this for that exact same reason, and for whatever reason it doesn't come with the battery, it's sold separately. So I just ordered the battery, maybe it'll help us on the front or something. After doing that for a while, the nut eventually comes off, and then from there you just keep going and then take off the bolt. By the way, if you're working on the driver's side, make sure to remove the 10mm for the ride height sensor before you actually drop it. After you loosen the bolt, this thing will drop a little bit, and then from here we can start taking off our spring. And then you pull up to get the spring off of its bracket, and then you can move it, maneuver it to the side, and there we go. There's our stock spring. All right, and now you have your stock spring and your new spring next to each other. Make sure to transfer over all of these two pieces. The end of the spring has to be touching this thing right here, and then also right here, this has to be wrapped around the spring to make sure it's locked in. And then with this one, same concept. The end of the spring has to be touching this end of the perch, and then yeah, make sure that this is nice and in there, and then we're good to go to install the new spring back into the car. Aligning the new spring is pretty easy. You can see right here there's an alignment tool, so you just have to make sure to get it into the hole, and then you should be good. The next part is the hardest part. You're gonna have to jack this up so you can fit the bolt in, but aligning the bolt is pretty difficult. You kind of have to find a sweet spot for this. This worked for me, so kind of like take that into note, the distance from the actual what's it called, the strut and the side of my jack. The thing is, your jack is different, so you kind of have to like play around with the jack points to try to get the bolt aligned. After you get it aligned though, just screw it back in and then we'll torque it to spec. The battery came in. Now grab your torque wrench and set it to 100 Nm of torque. And then after, give it another 90 degrees of rotation. We're done with the rears, put the wheels back on and torque them to 100 foot-pounds of torque. For the fronts, the first thing we do is take off the entire wheel liner. They're all 10mm, there's 15 of them. All right, so from here on out, we're gonna be removing everything that's touching the actual strut. things like this connection right here, all these lines that are actually on the actual strut. And then we also need to get this sway link 16 millimeter. That's right here. And then also another thing, if you're on the driver's side, then you're gonna have another sensor, ride height sensor, same as the rear. It looks literally exactly the same. So make sure not to forget that one because you could break it. But yeah, pretty much just make sure nothing's touching the strut. All right, so now's the part that you may be asking, I'm X-Drive, what do I do now? No, you do not have to remove the axle bolt. So we're gonna do this the easiest possible way, and that's by removing the bolt that connects to this thrust arm right here, and also removing the bolt that's on top of this wishbone right here. And what that does, it lets you droop down the knuckle just enough so you can take off the spring without taking off the axle bolt. So let's remove the sway bar end link with the 16 millimeter. And to actually pull the link off, you're gonna need to jack up the car a little bit from the knuckle. When you're jacking up your knuckle, be careful with your brake dust shield not to bend it. After you give it a little bit of height, you should be able to pull out the sway bar end link like that. Now let's get this bolt right here, the one that attaches to the thrust arm. It's a 21 millimeter, by the way. Next, get off this other 21 millimeter. My impact doesn't fit, so I'm gonna use a breaker bar. All you have to do is break it loose, and then with a ratchet, and also make sure to jack up your car a little bit from the knuckle. And you should be able to get it off. All right, now it's time to decompress the spring. I don't like using spring compressors, so let me show you how to do it without it. So first of all, get your jack and give the spring a little bit of compression, not too much, just a tad. Like that's good, a couple pumps. And then now let's go up top and take off all the plastic stuff. I'll show you how to do that right now. All right, so begin with taking this thingy off. Now grab a trim tool and get off all these grommets. There's one, oh my God, what a save. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and from here, we can go ahead and loosen this up. And then you have to unplug your EDC right here. So rip that off. And then you have the plug under it. Get that off too. Unplug it, just like that. And go ahead and move this to the side. And then now we're good to start taking off the 18 12-point socket in the middle here. This is a special tool, by the way. It's an 18 millimeter 12-point socket with a space so you can screw in the top bolt. So grab an impact, and then we're just gonna get the top bolt off. And then now to decompress the spring, very, very slowly and carefully lower the knuckle. And after you get it low, and your spring spins in place, then you know there's no compression and it is safe. And here we have 4 E12s, just remove all of them. And then after, go down here and go ahead and pull off your top hat as well as your bump stop. After you got those out, you're good to start removing the OEM spring. Now we can go ahead and start sliding in new spring. After you get your spring and your bump stop in, it's time to reinstall your top hat. So make sure that this arrow is facing forward, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Align it with these 2 holes and then just screw it in slightly so it holds it into place. And then you have to align it with the spring, and then we can bolt it in. All right, so now you're gonna grab your new bolt, and then you're gonna use the jack to align the top hat with the bump stop, as well as the actual center metal piece of the strut with the hole on top, so you can screw this in to hold it into place. All right, so once you verify that you're fully aligned, it's time to start tightening these down. So replace these ones with the new ones, actually. So take the old ones out and replace them with the new ones. And then we'll torque this to spec, and we'll torque these to spec. So now it's time to torque these E14s to 28 Newton meters in a diagonal pattern. And also, after you torque them, give them another 120 degrees of rotation. Now it's time to tighten down the middle bolt. So you do that with a special tool you have, as well as a deep 10 millimeter. Wait, first, get it in a little there. Okay, and now you're gonna put the 10 millimeter in the hole, and then little by little, you're gonna impact it. All right, and now you can torque this to 52 foot-pounds of torque. And then go ahead and reinstall your EDC. Make sure that this piece lines up here before you plug it in so it looks nice. Now torque this nut to 165 Newton meters. You're gonna have to hold the sway bar while you're doing it because the steering wheel's gonna turn. And then the other bolt is also 165 Newton meters. And then make sure to get all your lines where they were before. You should also preload the suspension, so jack it up from here again to get it to like around where the ride height is, and then that's when you can torque them to spec. And then the sway bar end link is 56 Newton meters of torque. After you torque everything down, you can go ahead and install your liner. I installed this clearance pad. I got it on Amazon. I put the link in the bio. All right, guys, it's time to drop the car. Let's see. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna let it settle a little bit and then I'll catch you guys tomorrow. All right, so we're at a little parking garage and check out how good this thing is looking. That thing is dropped to the floor. I mean, seriously, just check out that fitment. That thing is absolutely perfect. When I get some spacers on it, it's gonna look 10 times better. But I think it already looks insane. Oh my goodness. Just so you can see from close up, this is what the back is looking like. Probably just a finger. And then on the front, we have, with spacers, that wouldn't even be a finger. This thing is literally coil over fitment. Oh my goodness. That looks ridiculously good. Guys, honestly, I could not be happier with these set of springs. If you have a G80, I highly, highly recommend them. From what I've heard, they're better than every other spring. And the ride quality feels pretty solid, very similar to OEM. It feels pretty good. But besides that, that's the end of this video, guys. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.